Hey, g'day folks, and welcome to the finale of the No Team Challenge, where I finally take on the Broodmother. If you're interested in all the videos leading up until this point, make sure you check out my channel, as I have a playlist with all of the videos leading up to this. In this one, we were looking at my last attempt to take on the Broodmother. The speed at which I am actually doing everything is actually the speed that it is going. I'm neither speeding it up nor slowing it down, and this forms a key strategy that I actually employ to finally do the boss. So make sure you stick around to the end if you're interested in finding out about the strategy, the equipment that I use, and all the rest of it. But for now, let's enjoy my final attempt. Success! I'd finally defeated the Broodmother, and as you can probably deduce from the fight how I did it, it was all in the movement speed. And what I'd actually done is I'd actually put almost 200% into movement speed. I'd put a little bit into weight simply because of all the ammunition weapons that I was actually carrying, and all the rest went into health and stamina. But as you also may have noticed, I didn't actually take very much damage at all during the fight, and I didn't really need any of the stamina or the health. As it was, I didn't use any of the med bruiser that I brought along, nor did I actually use any of the other consumables, but we'll go into all of those and the reason for bringing them. But before we do that, we might as well have a look at the weapons and armor that I actually used. As it turns out, with this final attempt, a lot of the stuff that I was actually using wasn't actually required. You'd pretty much just need a really good weapon, and I got quite lucky. I've got a Mastercraft pump action shotgun, which using the crafting, I basically spec'd pure into crafting and got myself a 47.5 bonus on top of the Mastercraft pump action, and ended up with 312% damage. So it was a beautiful weapon to be able to bring into the fight. In terms of the armor, I don't know that the common would work very well, but you would be able to bring in anything which has a high durability. You don't particularly need a high armor, because even the common flak would actually mitigate a ridiculous amount of damage from the actual spiders themselves, because you've got to remember this is actually 0.2 difficulty with the gamma fight, so it's not actually pumping out that much damage from those level 120 Arianos, at least not against flak armor. And so you need a higher durability rather than a high armor just to survive the few hits, because if your armor breaks, that's basically where you would die. But as it turned out, I didn't particularly need too much in that regard, so even though most of my armor was Mastercraft as well, it wasn't actually necessary, as the speed itself that I was actually going was the thing that mitigated most of the damage that I actually took. And there was actually one point there where I landed in the middle of a bunch of spiders, and that was probably the one point that I was particularly worried that I could die, because once I was trapped in amongst the middle of the spiders, once the multiple attacks started hitting me and they actually wore down the durability of my flak, that was where I could have actually died. And the second thing that they could have done to me, which is where we'll start going into the consumables, is if they had done enough hits, I would have taken enough torpor that they would have actually knocked me unconscious, which actually happened in 2 of the attempts that I actually tried. And so that's why you bring along med brews, one, because if you actually were to bring in armor that wasn't quite as good, you would be taking damage, and so you need to be able to heal yourself up. And so the med brews would be able to counteract that with that. Having lower armor, you're not taking that much damage, but it might be enough that you need a little bit of healing. And secondary to that, if you take a few hits from the spiders and you're about to be knocked out, you're going to want to be able to actually counteract that by bringing along say some stim berries or the actual stimulants. In my case, I brought a half a stack of stimulants and I brought along a full stack of med brews. As it turned out, I didn't need to use them at all, but it's very handy to have them just in case. And then the fact that you've got stimulants, they actually wipe out your fluids, and the fact that the fight is actually a hot fight, which is why I had all of the soups, is you want to bring along a couple of canteens. Because if you do pop that stimulant because you look like you're about to pass out, you'll want to top up your water from those canteens. And that was pretty much all the stuff that I brought into the fight, but as I said, it all came down to the speed, and so I ended up dodging most of the things. And the last weapon that you probably saw throughout the fight was I actually brought along the rocket launcher. And as it was, it worked perfectly for the exact purpose that I wanted it for. As you're running around the boss and dragging him around in circles, all of the spiders that are spawned will clump up and form a nice neat little bit of a cluster of the spiders. And at that point in time, you pull out the rocket launcher, fire your rocket into the midst of them, and you'll pretty much get this satisfying moment where you destroy several spiders in one rocket blast, which I was very happy with the very first rocket that I fired in the battle. Other than that, that's everything that basically went into the battle. Obviously there was a lot that led up to the battle, but yeah, as I said, there's a playlist with all the earlier stuff that led up to the point where I was able to do the boss fight, so feel free to go and check out all those videos. Otherwise, make sure if you found yourself enjoying this, like the video, subscribe if you'd like to see more, especially when I start pumping out some of the other videos that are coming up. Other than that, thanks everybody for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one.